Hello everyone, I'm the Panda Photographer, and yesterday I finally got my hands on the Seeamo from Accsoon. Now I did a great unboxing video. I talked about how hard it is to get a license from Apple to get a MFI certification on your product. Keep this in mind, everyone that complained about it should have a battery and an HDMI cable. I talked about that in my unboxing, so watch that first. I gave it praise, but here's the problem. The problem is marketing. And I'm going to tell Seeamo and take this criticism with a grain of salt. Please do not ask a content creator, a filmmaker, or a documentarian to delete content because you were not so as transparent as you, as a brand, was not as transparent to the consumers. With that said, Accsoons, I believe that people should still buy your product if they have a current camera that is up to date. So let's talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. Why I knew there was something terribly wrong with the Canon 7D, and 5D Mark II, 5D Mark III, and other cameras. So first and foremost, if you do have a Sony, Panasonic, Fuji, or old Canon, guess what? It is not compatible with all DSLR cameras, or transparent, because Sony A-mount is actually a transparent mirror. So keep that in mind, because you guys knew I used to shoot with Sony. So with that said, but here is where things turn for kind of like concerning. First and foremost, I'm talking to Kent from Accsoon. Apparently says that he works for Accsoon, and apparently our conversation went from good to what is this? Why is he pointing the finger at me when I should be pointing the finger at you? Hear this in mind. As a consumer, you misled me. As a YouTuber and YouTubers, you also misled the public by telling the public that this device is compatible with every single camera on the market. You know how many videos I have seen? People have said that. I'm not going to say the YouTube channels. So many YouTubers have said that. Compatible with any DSLR camera, doesn't matter if it's old or new. I have heard YouTubers say this, and professional filmmakers say this. But keep in mind, I also need to talk about something that I just discovered last night, playing with someone else's Canon camera. So, do anyone knows about proxies? Now keep in mind, this device, mind you, can record to your phone, but it's actually not an accurate representation of the raw file that you're shooting. Now, if you don't care about raw files, I do, because I color grade a lot. I don't think it's practical to record on your iPhone and use that B-roll that is actually not a raw file. It's actually an MP4 or a MOV, depends on what smartphone device that you use. I'm going to actually say, guys, just use this as a monitor, not a recorder, because you got to understand, if you're shooting raw video with this device and using Lux, you may want to skip recording it to your iPhone, because it's actually it's not a true raw file. It's either, if you're using iPhone, MOV, if you're using Android, MP4. So with that said, everyone, disclaimer. I am not trying to talk bad about the brand. As I said before in the beginning of this video, I think you should still buy it if you have a Sony, Canon, or a Nikon mirrorless camera up to date with up-to-date HDMI specs. So let's talk about that, why I ran into this 1080i 60 issue. 7D does not transmit to 1080p 30, but with my other monitors, which you guys have seen in the past, and capture cards, I was able to do live streams with you guys in studio using those capture cards and using those monitors to send that HDMI signal to a 1080p 30. You guys have seen me do it all the time on this channel. Now, I was transparent with Accsoon. I was very transparent with the brand about what I was using. But it was Kent that I told this information to. I said, oh, by the way, Kent, I'm also using Magic Lantern on the 7D and 7D, but I control the HDMI port through there. But that doesn't mean, wait. That doesn't mean that you should have listed uncompatible cameras. And that's where the brand Accsoon should have came to play when it was marketing this product. It should have said in the back or in the manual, compatible cameras, uncompatible cameras. So with that said, everyone, I think the marketing for Accsoon was misleading in my point of view as a filmmaker, as a documentarian, as a photographer. I think the marketing should have been addressed. And YouTubers, please, I'm about to show you some emails and some transactions, being transparent, because Wendy that contacted me, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I never contacted Accsoon for this product. Why? Because I knew that I might run into a problem, and I was hoping I won't. But they contacted me through email. So with that said, everyone, I want to make sure that you are being told the truth. They contacted me for a review, and then I emailed them and said, well, my channel is based on being very transparent with my audience. So take things with a grain of salt. I tell it as it is in the real world, as a real world documentarian and photographer and experience. This is why I said in the beginning in the video, please, Accsoon, don't ask creators or filmmakers or documentarians on things they found about your device that you never told. And you never mentioned that it would not be compatible with older Canon, Sony, Panasonic cameras. So with that said, if you do have an old, let's say you do have an older camera and you want to live stream with it, that might be fine, but keep in mind, the video input would be 1080i 60. Keep that in mind. So with that said, I'm going to still recommend the product to new YouTubers, new filmmakers alike with up-to-date cameras. And I wish Accsoon would actually put on their website a list of compatible cameras so no one wastes their time or valuable time or money buying a product that is not compatible for the older cameras. Now, keep in mind, the reason why I use older cameras, and I don't recommend doing this, and I always have said this, when I'm using Canon cameras, I am jailbreaking with Magic Lantern RAW because I want full control over the sensor. And I know Canon doesn't endorse this, and Canon never has endorsed this type of software. And I never would endorse the software. But if there are people out there that really bought a used camera or have a used camera and they want to make use of it, what can this be a use for it? But then again, it tells me one thing about the product. There might not be any proprietary licensing for the older cameras because Canon doesn't actually do updates for older cameras anymore. But Magic Lantern, on the other hand, was able to actually reverse that with the HDMI port. This is why I'm telling Accsoon that from my experience, using monitors and capture cards, I was able to actually transmit a 1080p 30 frames and 60 frame, but we don't push it to 60 frame because that would be on the Canon 70, that would be 1280 by 720, but we don't want to do that. That's for Twitch. But, but I use that for Twitch. Keep that in mind. But I just think that Accsoon, I think I owe you an apology, but you also owe me an apology. Because first and foremost, I was not trying to defamate on the brand. What I was trying to point out, this might be a bug. I didn't know until I looked into it last night, and you guys just emailed me an hour ago, a little bit too late, when I already found out what I needed to know. And Kent just told me what I needed to know. So with that said, I will not review this product on this channel. I will go do an assessment with this product. But when it comes down to my mission review, I'm going to push this to the side for now, because it doesn't make sense that a product like this exists, but it doesn't work for every single DSLR camera. If I have an older camera that can transmit 1080p 30 frames, and keep in mind the 7D does transmit a 1080p 60 transmission through the HDMI, but you can fix that. I've done it with Magic Lantern and other monitors that I have used. So, and I understand that I'm getting a lot of comments saying that also from other users that are commenting on the video, and I appreciate your comments. Love you a lot for actually watching and commenting. Love you even more. But I wish this product worked for every single DSLR and mirrorless camera. Well, it works mostly for mirrorless cameras. But that goes to question, would this work for an older Sony A7 camera? Ooh, I'm curious. Keep in mind, if you guys knew, the 7D came out, what, 2010? The Sony A7 came out 2011, 2012? And if I'm correct, the same HDMI port should be in the same Sony HDMI port. So we want to ask, or anyone, if you have an older Sony camera, if you live in New York City, by the way, I'm in New York City. I'm not from New York City, but I'm in New York City. If you have an older A7 or A7R or A7S camera, I would love to test this device with the older Sony cameras that are 12 years old. Now, I know that the Sony A mount will work. Now, this is why I asked Kent. So that means the Sony A mount cameras, which I used to shoot on and do my live streams on as well, the A77, the A99 Mark II, the A99, sorry, not Mark II, A99 and A77 Mark II. I used to shoot all my live streams doing multiple camera setup. I wondered if the HDMI on those cameras will work with this device. See, now I'm curious about multiple cameras that might not be compatible. Now you understand as a consumer, even though I didn't buy it, it was sent for free. Sorry, runny nose. It's very cold and it's very early in the morning. I don't have my tissue. But anyway, I just want to point out something to everyone. I still want you to buy the product, but I want Accsoon to be very transparent about functionalities and compatibility listing. You, as a brand, should have done that from the get-go. And YouTubers, as I said before, it is not polite to mislead an audience for views and for sales for your Amazon or your B&H or your Adorama, whatever you buy it. I don't think it's appropriate to mislead an audience but not inform them about the compatibility issues with certain cameras with this device. Now, I did show that I'm using it as a monitor, which I wish Accsoon will watch the video. Now, there's 3 videos out there. There's the unboxing video experience for 20 minutes, which I talked about MFI certification, why it's so hard to get one, and why people complained about not having an HDMI in the box and not having a battery included. What is this? You better be lucky this device actually exists. Because this device didn't exist 12 years ago when we wanted something like this. Remember? I said this in my unboxing review, that 12 years ago, we wanted something like this, but we never got it. Sony never provided us with it. And when they did, they gave us some mediocre webcam app. And then Canon did the same thing, and that didn't work very well. And then they fixed that webcam issue, but we don't even use the webcam app because I use capture cards for all of my cameras when I want to do live streams or shoot professional raw video. As you've seen the New York Minute, if you ever watched that video, all of my B-roll was shot with the Canon 7D using an external monitor in 1080p 30 frames. But I do want to let you guys know that I'm not mad at the brand, but I am mad at how they came off in the emails or in the chat. Please do not say that I'm trying to criminalize or defamation on the brand. It's not. Take criticism the way it is with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not see Accsoon telling other YouTubers, hey, can you take the video down? You said some pretty harsh things about the brand and what's not working, what's not properly working. Can you revise that? You're not supposed to do that to a creator. You're supposed to let it go and take it with a grain of salt and improve on the technology, not to keep asking the creator or the artist or the filmmaker to take down the video because this is not what we asked for. First and foremost, again, they contacted me and I showed them an email. Let me show you the emails. Hi, James. I'm going to show you some emails, ladies and gentlemen. So everything's in transparency. So this email, James, she contacted me. I didn't contact her. I want you guys to read this, okay? So you guys have a better understanding. I'm sorry I can't read the comments from the seat over there. I do apologize. So I just want you guys to see. Now, let's show you something else. Let me show you this email. Oh, wait, not this email. That's the, oops. Is it this one? I think it's this one. No, it's not this one. But I want to show you some of these Instagram chats from Kent and from Accsoon. But I do have an email. I told them by email that my content is very transparent. We do things in the real world. So take everything what I do with a grain of salt. And they only said, and this is what they also said. They said that there's no deadline for the review. So take your time with your video assessment or review. So keep this in mind. I talked to Kent, and this is where's the video? This is where things got a little bit weird. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, you saw that chat. Now, the chat started off, I told him what cameras I was using. I didn't tell him until later in the chat that I was using Magic Lantern on the 7D, but that wasn't the issue in the video. That wasn't the problem in the video. The problem is misleading information about a product and the marketing behind the product. So with that said, everyone, I'm just trying to show transparency here. Is Accsoon showing some transparency here? No, they're not. And this is why I said about compatibility list. You have to have a compatibility list. I knew this product was too good to be true. For all cameras, that's misleading marketing. You can't say for all cameras when it doesn't work for all cameras. But it kind of does work for all cameras, but not in the sentence that you desire. So this is why I said 1080i 60 is not ideal. 1080i 30, definitely not ideal. 1080i 24, definitely not ideal. But I'm just trying to show you transparency here. Why is there no compatibility list for this product? So am I wrong for coming out and initially reviewing the product and then going to my own assessment with my own property and not realizing that there's no list of compatibility list at all? So whose fault is that? Is that my fault that I was misinformed about the product, or is that Accsoon's fault for not telling the consumer and the audience about compatibility issues? You don't have to take my side, ladies and gentlemen. You don't. You don't have to agree with this video. You do not have to vote for this video. All I ask you to listen to my experience, how I felt, how I feel that how I was misled as a consumer. That it literally said it for all DSLR mirrorless cameras or all cameras. But it doesn't work for all cameras. So with that said, everyone, it's a misleading marketing strategy. And this, Sony does it, Canon does it, every single brand has done it. Mislead the audience. And look what happened recently with Sony. With the it's pronounced it correctly, ZV-E1 camera. Releasing too many cameras when Sony should be pushing out firmware updates for the A1, A9, A9 Mark II, with the same features on that camera should be on those cameras. Same thing. Sony promised firmware updates for those cameras, and we never got it. Same thing with this product. They promised something, but they didn't deliver it 100%. So with that said, everyone, am I wrong for being a consumer? Am I wrong for being concerned, for buying an expensive? This is quite expensive for someone, almost $200. Yes. Let's say, as I said earlier, if I was a user, hold on one second. If I was a user and I wanted to buy a product for my camera, is it going to work or not? But they don't have information that says on the back, or for instance, in the manual. I would have liked to appreciate in the back of the manual, hey, maybe there should be an additional page in the back of the manual that says compatibility list, a non-compatible list. But there's no listing of that whatsoever. And mind you, my Chinese is not that great, but my Japanese is even better. So I replied back to Accsoon through Instagram in Japanese. Hopefully they can read it. And here's the problem. Accsoon, this is North America. And I'm not trying to rather your community or your team, but this is North America, friend. And I have rights here. And the one right of content creation in this country is that freedom of speech is a right. That is my First Amendment right. Not just as a YouTuber, as a photographer, but as someone from the press and credentials. That's my right to tell a story to the audience on my experience with any product. Did you see Sunwayfoto? By the way, Sunwayfoto sends me stuff. And I complained about a few things. Did you see them nitpick about my videos? Hey, and they send me free stuff all the time. And they're sending me a tripod. They're sending me a brand new carbon fiber tripod as of right now. Thank you, Sunwayfoto, for sending a brand new carbon fiber tripod. Yay. You don't see them complaining. I said one mishap of something that could be fixed or addressed. It cannot maybe not be addressed. But Kent said something very interesting. His engineers might want to take up the challenge and work with Magic Lantern. No, you can't, because even Magic Lantern is so behind on their software for multiple Canon cameras. But as I said, as someone from the press that does a lot of press media work using multiple cameras, iPhones and Android phones and devices, I feel obliged to say this, that I feel that I was getting defamation on because of what I said in my experience using this device. And I think Accsoon needs to take this device with a grain of salt and my experience with a grain of salt and not ask me to remove and delete content. Because, like I said, there's always an audience that will correct me in the comments, that will address me, as you guys did, thank you very much, by telling me that, oh yeah, your 7D, it's a beautiful camera, but the HDMI might not output a 1080p 30 if you're not using a correct device. So Ken asked me what devices that I'm using. I told him I was using a freeware 5.5 monitor with the Lux and everything on it. Remember that? We were using the newer monitors. Remember that? We had two of those. Two of those. So I'm just curious, why would Accsoon would say that I'm trying to make them look bad. In the words of Kent, he tried to say that I'm trying to defamate on the brand. No, I'm not. You got to take my experience with a grain of salt. This is my experience. But it's also your fault, again, for not letting the audience and the consumer know about the findings about older DSLR cameras. So with that said, everyone, I digress when I talk about customer service with Accsoon. At least they respond fast. It got back to me within 24 hours, and that's why I said you should still buy the product if you have an up-to-date camera. It will work. I would guarantee it will work. But for right now, older cameras, Sony, Panasonic, all that jazz, it might not work. If you have a Panasonic GH3, it might not work. You have a GH4, it might work, it might not. I don't know. If you have a Sony A-mount camera, or even better, an older Sony E-mount camera. I'm talking about the A51, all those cameras. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I'm talking about, friends. Yes. Older cameras. That's a concern because people still use older cameras to this day. I still know someone that shoots with a Nikon D12. They just love the camera. You can't hate them for that. But as someone that collects cameras, that had a studio, keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I came to New York for multiple reasons, but I also came here to also be part of the media here in New York City. But to receive a product for free and then told to take down a video on my findings is kind of a little assaulting, in my opinion. So with that said, everyone, I just want everyone to know that I've been discriminated. I've been told they hate my videos. I've been told people don't like my videos because I'm too transparent. People told me that you should go find a hobby and a new job. And guys, I've only been homeless since October 2021. Mind you that I am a homeless individual, but I'm not committing any crimes, I'm not soliciting, I'm not committing anything or hurting anyone. All I'm doing is providing content. Content that someone might want to see and might want to take this with a grain of salt for themselves and say, you know what, if this might not work for my Sony A5100 camera, which was a very popular camera back in 2010, 2011, 2012, even up to 2015, it was still a popular camera. So with that said, everyone, I just want to let you guys know that the unboxing experience is great. I got a black version. A lot of people got a white version. I also talked about, a lot of people complained about this, the ports, how they were edgy, they looked like they were cut up, it was not polished. But this one is polished very well. all of it. This is what I talked about, and I watched every single YouTuber's video about this product, and watched them complain about the HDMI port being all jagged and all rigid. You can see some debris in the port or in the ports because it wasn't a clean cutout. People complained about that with this product. People also complain, like I said, about not having an HDMI cable. Dude, I have 3 HDMI cables for good reason. If you're a videographer, you should always buy your own HDMI cables. That is just common sense. Don't buy cheap knockoff cables. Buy legitimate cables that last and will last long. But with that said, everyone, as I said, this product came with not only a lightning cable to USB, but USB to USB. Keep that in mind. So I think for $180, I think this is a steal. It comes with lux, comes with waveforms, vector scope, comes with peak-in, audio. But here's the thing about audio. The audio wasn't working either. And Wendy said this in the email this morning to check my volume on my phone. The volume on the phone was working. The audio that I'm using, the audio devices that I'm using is the Comic-Con Boom XD wireless and the VD Live 10, which I'm using right now with the Dead Cat, because it's a little windy but cold. But you guys get what I'm trying to say here. I'm using only audio wireless devices that are recently just been released within the year. The Boom XD I got in 2021, so keep that in mind. But I'm using the VD Live 10 right here, so take it with a grain of salt. But this is my experience with the device, and if I was to rate this device, I would rate it a 4. You guys are wait, but it doesn't work with older cameras, so why do you still rate it a 4? Because I'm going to give Accsoon the benefit of the doubt that they wasn't really paying attention to their marketing. And as I said, this happens to every brand. They want to market something to sell as many units as possible. This is why they reach out to YouTubers like me and everyone else. I'm not a famous YouTuber, but over 5,000 subscribers. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to be a famous YouTuber. I'm just trying to show my work and then trying to have it as an archive. This is why I have it on Patreon. I have it uploaded to Facebook, have it uploaded somewhere else. I use it as cloud. I'm never going to delete these videos because this is my experience in the real world. I'm the one out here, you're not. I'm the one using the device. You're not yet, but you're not the one that's actually trying to make a difference and trying to show some solidarity, not just within the YouTube community or the videography community or the filmmaking community or the photography community, but with the homeless community, because I'm trying to educate homeless men and women and children in North America that, like, listen, you don't need to steal, you don't need to do this to order to get your message out. You can make content like I'm doing in transparency and solidarity and do it in the polite way where people are not going to get offended. Now, in my initial review yesterday, I did not offend anyone. I've just pointed out maybe this might be a bug that needed to be fixed, but now I know it's not a bug to be fixed. It's just that something that Accsoon is not able to actually master. If Canon cannot master the HDMI port, what makes you think you can master the port or change it? This is why I use Magic Lantern. The main reason why I use Magic Lantern. And I didn't know Magic Lantern was doing that for me until yesterday. Until I stood up all night trying to figure it out. This is why I'm up this early, all night trying to figure it out without no sleep. Trying to figure out what could it be. Could it be that it could be a Canon issue? Yes, that is possible. Highly most likely, yes. Could it be a compatibility issue? Highly likely, yes. Could it be the HDMI port not transmitting the signal correctly? Yes and no, because it did transmit 1080p for a few seconds, and then it just converted right back into the input of 1080i 60. But then again, it's also, like I said, marketing. Marketing is the problem. It is misleading customers to assume This is going to work for every single DSLR camera or camera on the market, but it's not. So with that said, everyone, I'm Panda, and I'm sorry has to be a long live stream, but I just want to emphasize quite few things so you can make the right purchase. So if I were you, if you do have an older camera, I suggest if you can take the time within the next year, because this product is not going anywhere. If you have time in the next 6 months, buy a newer camera. You can buy a used Canon 80D right now from B&H for about 750 bucks. And guess what? It works with the Canon 80D. So I want to thank the guy yesterday. I forgot his name, Gerard, that literally came over to my desk yesterday when I was making these videos yesterday. He said, oh, I'm shooting with Canon too. I was like, oh, really? What Canon do you have? I got an 80D. Can I test this on your camera? Sure, what's the problem? Having a problem with the HDMI. It turns out, yeah. So I just want to say, Gerard, if you're out there somewhere, if you live in Greenpoint, Williamsburg, thank you last night for being in the soccer field and helping me with trying to figure out what it is. And this is why I stood up all last night, trying to figure out why they work for that camera, but they didn't work for this camera. Why they work for that camera, but they didn't work for this camera. Would it work for Sony? Would it work for any other Sony older camera? So with that said, everyone, I am a documentarian, travel consultant, photographer, educator. I am not a professional at analyzing products like this because I don't know the software behind it. Because if I did know the software behind it, I'm pretty sure the engineers would probably figure something out, but even I could probably figure something out. But I still recommend it. I still recommend it using it as a monitor. I still recommend it to live stream if you want to live stream with it. If you want to share your experience, which I did, because it does say share on the box. That's why I don't understand. I'm sharing, and you're telling me not to upload the video. But with that said, I just want everyone to know that in transparency, I did not reach out to them again. They reached out to me. I told them what my rules and my guidelines are on my channel, and they agreed. And now you're asking me to delete the video. That's not our agreement, Accsoon. So with that said, please read my email carefully, because it literally says, in transparency, I do what I do. I don't follow. We are a non-sponsored channel. This is why we are a non-sponsored channel, ladies and gentlemen. When people want to cooperate, do collabs, and want to take over your channel and tell you what to do, that's something that I'm not really a big fan of. That's not something that I'm a big fan of. So with that said, this is why we are a non-sponsorless channel. And if we were sponsored, let's say I was sponsored by Sunway. They don't sponsor the video or the channel. They just sponsor the products they send me. But still, and disclaimer, no brand has the right, and we did not exchange money. We did not agree that this was going to be a adequate and 100% good review. There are always good and bad things about a product on the market. Every product, even this WAG, even my Canon cameras, have faulty problems. For instance, Canon likes to, I would like limit their sensors. This is why Magic Lantern RAW was a big thing shooting with Canon cameras. Because the Canon 7D can shoot up to 2.5K. And that's what I do. I shoot to 2.5K and then I downscale it to 1080p. I downscale it to 1080p. So I don't want to hear from another brand telling a non-sponsored channel to delete content when, in transparency, you reached out to me and you asked me to do the review. I thought about it and I'm skeptical about it because I know how you brands are, and this is exactly why I didn't want to review the product like this. Because I know I was going to, if I talk about the shortcomings of a product, immediately they're going to email me like, can you take down the video because you're misleading the customers? No, I'm not. I'm a customer. You misled me. You told me that this was compatible with all DSLR or cameras. but it's not. This is why there's no compatibility list. So with that said, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. If you want to support the channel, we are a non-sponsored channel. All our funds come from you. If you want to join the Patreon, join the Patreon. If you want to join this channel, subscribe, like, and share. You want to leave your thoughts down in the comments, please do. I want to hear you guys' opinion, because this channel, if you realize, in all of my social media channels, it's for you. I go to my Instagram, I post your Instagram feeds on my Instagram feeds. So, in theory, this channel is for you and for the real people that care about buying a product that matters to them the most. It's not about trying to get the most views or the most revenue from YouTube, because I don't get paid from YouTube revenue. What helps me is you, the audience. Join my Patreon. If you want to support the channel, if you don't want to join my Patreon, there's always other links, like the Amazon links to this, yeah? Or there's a PayPal, Cash App, and a Venmo if you want to support my work during the day, or projects, or film projects, because we have a bunch of new film projects coming along, because this summer is going to be a very busy summer. And today, Trump is in New York City. And there's going to be a lot of violent activity. I'm going to say this right now because he's been indicted. But I'm just going to say this right now. I'm not going into Manhattan. That's why you hear a lot of helicopters across the river right now. Yeah, it's going to be chaos. This is why I don't like Manhattan. I like Brooklyn. Ever since I came to New York, I like Brooklyn better, or Queens. Manhattan's just too toxic, too noisy, too violent. But with that said, everyone, I'm a homeless photographer, videographer. I'm showing transparency here. You want to support, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. It helps me eat. It helps me support the channel. It helps me pay the bills. It helps me keep the cell phone on so we can make live streams and continue to make streams like this. So if you want to support, you can do so. But I really want to hear your comments, because you are important to me. You are my audience. Even if you're not subscribed, you are important, not the brand. This is why I make content, to tell the brand that you need to make it right to an audience. You need to be very more transparent about what is compatible and what is not compatible. You are important, not the brand. This is not important. The important factor is you buying something that makes you smile or makes you sad. But you take it with a grain of salt. But I see everyone's watching me, because everyone realizes this guy is sleeping outside with camera equipment. How does he do it? Look, if I turn the camera around, you can see a lot of people want to talk to me, because you know why? I'm the most interesting person in Brooklyn right now. And this is why I want to tell the homeless community as well. You don't need to be in a situation where you are committing crimes or hurting people to get what you need to survive. You can survive by being very honest to people and very transparent. But then again, I'm in New York City. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. So, I lived in Wisconsin. I lived in Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Madison, Wisconsin, because I was a student there at university. I even stayed in Boston for the summer of 2021, and that was even a better experience. But this is New York. Take it with a grain of salt. With that said, everyone, as I said, I'm just sorry, Accsoon, but I still recommend your product, but you gotta be transparent. The marketing is just, it's like scamming. It's like tricking me into buying something that is not compatible in the first place. And then I gotta waste money sitting in the back. Then you might charge me a 15% restocking fee. And that is what I hate about sending products back that do not work or do not have a compatibility list. When there is no, oh man, that's another thing that you guys need to really do an assessment. This is why I do an assessment. So with that said, everyone, but I also want to talk to my audience about something very important. When brands contact me on Instagram or email, I do not reply to them right away. There's a reason why. because I know what they want. And I can't provide them what they want. Because what they want is not an honest review. So I get a lot of the emails on Amazon, from Amazon. Oh, review this socket plug. Review this light plug. I don't need to review any socket plugs or light plug. Guys, I have the best lights that money can buy. I'm using Sunwayfoto lights. I'm using the ring light. I'm using the F16. I'm using the FL70 RGB, which is very powerful. I don't need any powerful other lights. If I'm going to get a light, I'm going to get it from Sunwayfoto. Why? Because they have very good products, and I stand by their products. If you want to go down to the links down below, go check them out. Oh, by the way, if you want to buy any of the Sunwayfoto products that I have listed, I have a 5% discount code called ThePandaPhoto. If you use that promo code at the Sunwayfoto website, you can get 5% off on your first purchase at Sunwayfoto website. So, with that said, everyone, I am an affiliate for Sunway, but I'm a big fan of their products. Big fan. Why? Because only thing that had failed was their ball head. And guess what Sunwayfoto did? If you guys watch my Instagram feed or my YouTube videos, Sunwayfoto literally sent out 2 extra ball heads ASAP, all the way from Hong Kong. And it came here within like 4 or 5 days. I told them a certain problem with the ball head. Has this kind of wiggle. You're not supposed to have that kind of wiggle. That is the sound that you're hearing when I do live streams from the other ball head. And they send it to me, new ones, in an LED light. And not only that, they send me a quick release plate for my DSLR camera. That's a $40 value. Why they send me the CQC01? They figured that I'm gonna make a review on it, which I am, but it's taking me some time because products like that, that's more, doesn't take that much to review, but I want to make a review that makes sense so people can actually buy it. What's it really for? You can use it in your backpack, you can use it in your belt clip, but it's a product that I use from time to time. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I hope you love the sunrise. So with that said, thank you for watching. Sorry for the boogers and the sniffles. I do apologize for the sniffles. I swear I have my booger tissue with me. But thank you for watching. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to read the comments now, and then we're going to end the live stream. And James says, how old is your camera? Okay. Finally, a rich crook is getting arrested for 20 minutes, then he will be out. Yeah, I know, Hero. I know. Trump is a character in himself. But with that said, everyone, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.